Welcome to Natural Medicine Secrets. I'm Jonathan Otto. Hormones are chemicals that are naturally produced by the glands in our endocrine system, essentially telling the organs what to do and when to do it. They have played an important role in many of our bodily functions, like growth, metabolism, regulating body temperature, hunger, moods, thirst, sleep, and sex drive. Some other glands in our body produce hormones such as insulin, which helps to regulate our blood sugar levels, control our calcium levels, and produce melatonin, a hormone associated with good sleep cycles. Our hormones are also associated with calorie burning and controlling our heart rate and producing testosterone and estrogen needed for overall health and reproduction. Infertility is more common than most people think. According to a CDC study, updated in April of this year, about 10% of women, 6.1 million, in the United States encounter difficulties when trying to have a baby. These numbers are very different from what they were even 20 years ago and are expected to rise still further. It has been estimated that by 2025, close to 10 million couples will struggle with infertility issues. Stress, parasites, diet, environmental influences, and medications are among some of the known triggers for hormone-related issues and conditions. Even a small imbalance in hormone levels can cause serious effects, and diseases can develop throughout the body, affecting our quality of life. In this episode, you'll learn about the causes, discover the preventative and healing methods our doctors have shared, and hear the success stories of many who have been suffering that have experienced incredible breakthroughs.
Well, mine's been quite the journey. Back when I was a teen, as I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier with you, I had some gut issues, but I just kind of ignored it a lot. And I would just kind of do different things, kind of take care of it. And then as time went on and you go into college and you have even more stresses in your life, I started having other health issues, being extremely fatigued and tired and losing hair and my skin drying and just different things. But when I would talk to the doctors, they were just like, well, you're depressed. And you would get medications for depression. And then I was talking to another person, they're like, well, this sounds like a thyroid issue. So I went and had my thyroid tested and I had a thyroid issue. So I talked to the doctor and I'm like, is there something that I can do? Is there food I can do or food that I shouldn't eat or food I should eat? How can I treat this naturally? How can I help my own self heal? And they're like, there's nothing you can do. You have to take this drug.
As far as I can remember, I guess the biggest turning point in my life started as early as 13 years old. Before that, I did have struggles with low self-esteem, and which over time developed into depression, anxiety. I noticed that was a pattern throughout my life. But specifically at age 13, I started fainting and having what was called, I would have low blood sugar and anemia. And that's when my journey started with that. At around age 16 or 19, I started having digestive issues and things started going downhill for the worse. I started having trouble eating, getting scared to eat. And this went on all the way up until not too long ago, where I would go through episodes of just being scared to eat, because anything that I ate, I would get bloated, I'd have constant pain. Not only that eventually turned into skin rashes. My skin always seemed to be sensitive. And I also had respiratory struggles. So I had food allergies, I had skin allergies, I had respiratory allergies. And I eventually also struggled with anxiety and depression so much that I ended up on medication for a certain point in my life. And then eventually that turned into having chronic migraines. It started little by little, just having a headache there, which turned into migraine occasionally, and then it started getting more and more regular to the point where it was almost every single day. Along with that, I also had pain from the top of my head all the way to my ankles, specifically in the joint area. So that added to my migraines. I would especially have it at nighttime when I was sleeping, so therefore I didn't even have enough sleep. So much so that I just started crying. I was getting scared of what was going on. I had specific rib issues, shoulder pain. I started going to physical therapists, psychologists, counselors, I was trying everything and anything, and nothing seemed to work.
What do you see as one of the greatest health challenges or conditions that women face these days in the different life phases, such as pre-children age, pregnancy phase, postpartum phase, and later life stages?
I think hormonal imbalances will follow you decade to decade, right? But what we're told is either it's in your head, or take this, or let's name it and blame it. So when you're a teenager, you'll call it PMS, and then you'll get to your 20s. And during that decade, we may call it PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, or even infertility. Then you get to your 30s, maybe you've had children and you're told, oh, you're just tired. You just don't feel well because you're running around after small children. Then you hit your 40s and it's perimenopause, or oh, it's age. You're just gaining weight because of your age. And then you're 50 and it's menopause. When if you get a good history on somebody, you see these hormonal imbalances have been there for decades.
And that's why I always educate people. I give lectures on this all over, because it's so underestimated. Because without hormones, you can't wake up in the morning. For example, let's say you have a thyroid problem. What does your thyroid do? It sits here in your neck. It's the battery to every cell in your body. Literally the battery. Well, does something ever work without a battery? No. Your technology wouldn't work without the battery, right? Well, you literally wouldn't wake up if you don't have your thyroid. Well, so we can be partially compromised by having low thyroid, right? But you still feel the same. You feel almost dead. So for example, your adrenals, your adrenal glands, they're little glands that sit on top of your kidneys like little hats. They make over 100 hormones. They're your stress, immune, and longevity gland. And if you don't have them, let's say I said, okay, I'm gonna do a surgery and take them out. You wouldn't wake up. Literally, you would not wake up. That's how important. So doctors are not trained to treat a hypo-functioning or a low-functioning or an over-functioning gland. So it's not talked about, and then doctors dismiss patients when they come in and they have an anxiety disorder, or they're depressed, or they're tired, or they can't sleep, or they can't think straight, or they have ADD. Well, you better look at the matrix. This is the basic matrix of the physiology of the body that all doctors learn, and this is where you start.
Hey everyone, my name is Gabriel. I just wanted to share my testimony and a little bit of my path that I've gone through. In March 23rd, 2010, I was actually eating out with a friend. And during that time I was eating out, I became very ill to a point where I actually felt like if someone had poisoned me. From there, I went to the emergency room. And they did all these crazy tests, CT scans, everything, blood work, and they pretty much didn't find anything wrong with me. The only thing they gave me as a diagnosis was you have irritable bowel syndrome, which I've come to learn is pretty much saying, hey, we don't know what's wrong with you. It's like the John Doe for being sick. From that day forward, I just got more and more and more and more sick. I lost 55 pounds in 2 months. I actually had friends even think I was doing drugs because they didn't see me so long. That when they did, I saw how much weight I lost. They were like, whoa, like what's going on? Some thought I maybe had like cancer or I was very sick. I started to see lots of specialists. I saw rheumatologists, endocrinologists, gastroenterologists, cardiologists. I saw them all. It even got to a point that I got so sick I couldn't work no more. I had to stop working. And in that process, I lost my medical, but I was still going to the doctors. I was still seeing, sometimes I had to go to the emergency room because I had weird heart palpitations. I was scared. I was like, what's going on? I accumulated $30,000 plus in debt to eventually at one point had to file bankruptcy. Unbelievable, surreal experience. I don't wish on anybody. It took 7 years for them to figure out that I had Lyme disease, even with me suggesting it at one point. I even had a doctor say Lyme or Lyme disease is not a real thing. And if you get it, it's for like a short term, like you might have for a week or two. When I was really sick, I couldn't even go up a flight of stairs. I would go 5 steps and I would be so winded that it was to a point where I was like, what is going on? And this is, you know, I used to be a guy that go to the gym 6 days a week and spend 2 hours there I could barely work out 5 minutes. And I believe that some of you might be watching this because you're still seeking to find help and even help for your loved ones, if not for yourself. And all I can say is Autoimmune Secrets has completely changed my life. In the last month of just doing a lot of the things that I've learned, I've gotten over one of the hardest hurdles, which is the fatigue. I've always felt like, when will I be able to work out again? When can I do the things I want to do with my kids? You know, I have 2 kids and there's times that I have to think, can I go hiking with them? Can I go play ball? Can I, am I always going to be winded? Can I ride my bike around the street? Basically, can I keep up with them? And I'm feeling like I'm getting that life back. And what Jonathan Otto has created is just amazing. It's so easy to implement, to learn, and it's definitely life-changing. And I just, off the top right now, I just want to say thank you, Jonathan, for what you've created here and helping me get my life back. And and I just say, if you're on the fence with potentially getting this series, just get off the fence, buy it. It's going to change your life. I spent $30,000 plus in medical and so many prescription medicines and other things. The price that he's selling it for is nothing. We spend more money eating out to dinner sometimes, or even on cable TV, which is crazy expensive. You're regaining your life back. Go and get the series. You have nothing to lose, but more to gain, and get your life back. And I just thank you for allowing me to share my testimony. And I hope it encourages you to fight the good fight and know that whatever doctors say, you're not crazy. There's something going on with your body. Your body's trying to tell you something. Listen to it. Thank you for allowing me to share my testimony, and I wish you all well onto your recovery to regaining your lives back.
Just imagine what the tools that you learn in Natural Medicine Secrets could do for someone you love and care about. How could you help change your life and the immediate people in your family, the immediate people in your friendship circle? How could you use this information to transform lives? This is why it's so good to learn from this series, because we're not equipping you just with 1 or 2 conditions. We're getting to the root cause of all disease. And because we want to equip you, so in these situations you can do what I did. And remember, I'm speaking as an advocate here. I empowered myself, Laura empowered herself, so we could have the knowledge to inform our families.
And normally, and through your stories, through your results, people begin to listen and watch. And that's usually, it's been, I guess you could say, a domino effect within our family.
Yeah.
Just results are showing and people are wanting to apply, and it keeps growing from there. And so I know that you yourself might be wondering, will this work for me? I've gone through so many steps, but just take that 1 step forward and just apply what you know, and just keep moving from there. That was our experiences. That's the experience of so many people around. And before you know it, you're going to see some changes.
Yeah. It's so fantastic when you have the tools at your fingertips. And that's why we're giving you an opportunity to own Natural Medicine Secrets, so you can take it with you. This is just give you a snapshot about what it looks like in terms of just the physical part of it. It's just an amazing gift that you can take action on right now, to use this as a tool to help save the lives of those you care about most. And I promise you, you can change your life. You can completely turn around your circumstance when you take action. This is what we've seen for tens of thousands of people that have gone through our programs through the years. Now, to own this program, instead of paying the regular price, you'll get 93% off the gold package. So you'll only be paying 7%. The reason why we did this is because we wanted to give you every opportunity to succeed, so you could have all the tools available to you. Let me remind you of all the additional free gifts and bonuses that you get and what you get in the gold package. A DVD set and lifetime access digitally to all 9 episodes of the Natural Medicine Secrets docuseries to watch whenever you like in the future. And you can share them with your friends and family. In addition, you'll get a printed book of the episodes that you can read along. It's got bonus episode 10 in it. And if you prefer to listen to the docuseries, then what you can do is on the data DVD, you have the MP3, so you can put that in your computer, or you can download from the membership area online digitally, the MP3s, put them on whatever devices you have, put them in your car so you can listen wherever you are. And that's to bring you this powerful docuseries. We conducted dozens of hours of interviews. You get full lifetime access to all 57 full-length interviews we filmed. So you can see the entire interview rather than just watch certain portions in the episodes. You get to see the whole thing, uncut, raw, live. And that's what's amazing when you get to consume that information.
Along with the videos of these full-length interviews, you get digital access to the complete read-along transcripts. So you can take notes or mark important sections you want to revisit later. I personally like to highlight. One of the most exciting pieces of the program is the 7-module healing recovery protocol, also included as a bonus. Here's where you get step-by-step protocols from our doctors that can easily be personalized on how to naturally treat your microbiome, protect your brain health, and improve your blood sugar, fertility, mood disorders, weight gain, and many other conditions. You will also get 11 healing protocols, and here's why this is interesting. These are exclusive video content materials featuring 11 doctors sharing their best healing tips and protocols that they use on their patients in their private practice. You also get a free online and physical pass to Natural Medicine Secrets to share with a loved one. That's your set of DVDs and a DVD containing all the materials so you gift one to a loved one, as well as a digital pass to give someone else online access to the entire program. You'll also get digital access to 25 recipes with delicious natural medicine ingredients, the healing plants and spices to treat your body and help you recover.
We'll also receive a printed book as well as a DVD and the digital version of our 57 key takeaways from our interviews, valued at $238. And here's how it works. For each interview we filmed with our world-class doctors, we extracted the most important tidbits of information for health transformations. The key takeaways are like reading a shorter version of each interview and getting the compacted information in just a few paragraphs, so you don't have to read through everything. You get a printed book and a digital copy and a DVD for multi-device access. The value packed also includes 5 cooking videos on DVD to banish inflammation. That's a great bonus if you have autoimmune issues or you just want to keep low-grade chronic inflammation under control. Watch a recipe unfolding on video rather than just reading the instructions. It's super fun, it's informative, and you'll learn how to do it. In the Core Gold package, we've included our free Jumpstarter supplement pack that has an amazing combo of products specially formulated to give your health a boost and start getting you on track. Our Jumpstarter pack has Gut Repair 360, Cell Defense, Toxibinder, Parapurify, turmeric and ginger with bioperine, and emergency immune support. We want to give you the opportunity to starting detoxing, fighting inflammation, and healing leaky gut so that you can get to see the difference right away. With this package, you'll get the opportunity to begin to transform your health from the inside out. We want to make sure that you have more than just the information and the supplement starter pack. We want to give you a special gift that will get you started on your personal healing journey. Have you ever wished that you had someone to talk to that was just able to sit down with you and really figure out your health issues? It seems when we go to the doctor's office, the doctor is quick to rush in and out of the room, and many people often feel they aren't fully seen or heard. Considering this, we've added a high-value 40-minute free phone consultation with a health coach who has been specially trained to make sure that you're able to come up with a program that is right for your needs. The value of this consultation alone is worth $199. So make sure you check out all the packages and find out the one that is right for you. But this deal is only available during this live screening, so act now if you don't want to miss out. If you want, you can go ahead right now and pause the docuseries and see for yourself everything that's included in our silver, gold, and platinum packages. Simply click the button or banner below to take advantage of this limited time offer right now. Also, remember that every single one of our packages has a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you risk nothing if you decide to try these remedies for yourself in the next 60 days.
We're focused and passionate about our mission and want to bring the secrets of natural remedies to you and the world. It's your support that enables us to help the many people who are struggling so that they can help themselves.
Your support also gives us the ability to create these programs that have helped so many and can profoundly change your life and health too.
Take the opportunity right now to make sure that you don't miss out and get instant on-demand access to all of this life-changing information by simply clicking the banner or the button below before this opportunity is gone. According to recent studies, as many as 1 in 7 couples trying to have a baby experience infertility. Both women and men can experience hormonal issues that cause infertility. And although age and genetics can be one of the catalysts for these issues, scientists are finding that these issues are not the only relevant factors. Toxin exposure, foods, and medication, and their effects on hormone levels in the body may also be rendering couples sterile. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, is a hormone-related condition which interferes with a woman's normal ovulation. Treating hypothyroidism is imperative to addressing fertility issues. The thyroid gland is affected by fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone, hormones that are essential to normal reproductive function, and when the thyroid gland doesn't produce enough of certain important hormones, this may interfere with ovulation and impact the ability for a couple to conceive. There is a high percentage of people who live with a genetic mutation of the MTHFR gene, which is responsible for appropriate levels of homocysteine. Homocysteine is important in preventing chronic diseases. Several hormones modulate these levels. When levels are too high, our bodies are at an increased risk for coronary artery disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, and autism. Additionally, synthetic nutrients essentially activate the MTHFR, which increases inflammation in the body and contributes to fertility complications. As you may know, my wife Lori and I were unable to conceive until after implementing the techniques the doctors will be sharing in these interviews. We conquered our infertility issues, and we couldn't be more thankful we did. We now have a beautiful son who we love so deeply, who teaches us incredible things every day, and we couldn't be happier. We know there are a lot of couples out there who have tried everything to share in that joy and want nothing more than to start a family of their own. This is the reason why we have sought out answers to share with you today.
I'd go to the chiropractor and I'd have all of these lists, like the forms would be filled up with all these things, and I was like, either I'm paranoid and I think I have all these things wrong with me and it's not, or there's actually a lot that's wrong with me, and people would look at me like, man, you really complain a lot. Well, now, so that was just one of those, that was just the life I was living, and I didn't know what to do about it. I was getting desperate, I was getting tired, I felt like I was missing out on a lot of special events because we'd travel or we'd do things, and I was just constantly feeling sick. I couldn't enjoy my environment, and I was either in pain in bed or just feeling awful. I would get a lot of brain fog. I was getting also chronic fatigue. So I had no energy. I couldn't even do the things at my house. I'd do one thing like wash the dishes and I'd be out for the day. And it would just depress me. I'd just end up in the couch just eating and just feeling sorry for myself. I felt at this point in time I couldn't be at this point in time I was married. I felt I couldn't be a good wife, a good daughter. I'd just a good person in general, because I was just feeling so awful. So it was just really hard for me, and I didn't know a way out at that point in time. We were having a lot of struggles in our marriage, and because of our struggles, I felt like we were missing out on just being able to have a child. We had gotten to the point where we were about even 3 or 4 years married, and we were still having so many struggles that we just didn't feel ready to be parents. Not only that, there were so many times where I could say we should have gotten pregnant. So it got to a point where now both of us, we talk, and we had that silent fear that maybe I couldn't even fall pregnant because it just wasn't happening. That was probably the hardest thing toward the end that I struggled with. I just couldn't cope with my environment. I struggled with just small stressful situations became huge stressful situations. And I just felt like I was just winding out of control, and I just didn't know what to do. I have always, since I was little, always wanting to be better, wanting to do better, and reading and, like spending all this time learning of how to be a better person. And I just felt like I was getting worse. Trying to do the right things, live the right way, help people. My husband and I at that time, this is around the time that Jonathan was into the health space, and I went through a conversion experience, you could say, of holistic health. And we were sharing all this amazing news and all these testimonies of people having breakthroughs and doing all this personal development and helping people. Meanwhile, I was dying inside. I was breaking, and I felt so broken. And I'm just like, when am I going to get my break? When am I going to see the light at the end of the tunnel? Why, my family looks at us, and my friends or the people that know our lives to a certain extent, and she always seems sick. She always seems depressed. She always seems angry. Can't control herself. And all I wanted to do was be better. All I wanted to do was impact positively. And I just felt like I couldn't do that. And I felt like, at the same time, I felt like my husband, the person that was the closest to me, couldn't see me either in the midst of it. And I just wanted to tell people, I don't know, I just wanted to just like, I don't know what's going on. And I just get angry, just be angry and bitter and tired. I think the underlying feeling underneath was just tired. I was exhausted of fighting and not feeling like I was getting anywhere forward. I wanted to follow my dreams and impact the world and be better at time management, be better at this and that, and always reading, and always just felt like things were just not getting anywhere. Good news and partially not good news. I got to the point where I was like, I don't like the fact that my brain is becoming dependent on these heavy antidepressant, anti-anxiety meds. I felt like a zombie, and I just got really convicted that I need to get off of them. It's not making my situation any better. And so, long story short, I researched and slowly but surely weaned myself off. And that's where I learned the power of omega-3s and vitamin B for de-stressing and all that stuff. That was my beginning journey of learning about my brain. But I was able to get off of those. However, I was still dealing with depression and anxiety. So they started treating me for, working on my migraines. And of course, my test results showed that I had low iron, low blood sugar. Again, I was known to have hypoglycemia, and definitely at this point was showing signs of anemia as well. And so, that was that. Around that time, we wanted to confide into my really good friend, Jay Davidson, Dr. Jay Davidson, and we went to them to ask him and his wife to see what we could do about falling pregnant. I brought my test results with me, and I didn't think what would come out of that would be hope. But we got there, showed Dr. Jay the test results, and he basically said, "These look like red flags for parasites." I got so offended. And I was like, no, there's no way we're talking about this. This is not what do you mean I have parasites? And he started explaining it. Long story short, put me on a parasite detox. I was dreading the day that those pills would arrive at home. I was literally shaking, just dreading. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. But I was desperate, if this was going to be something good. I was trying everything, anything and everything. We had tried so much money.
I started getting rid of those food allergies. I could actually eat leafy greens and broccoli and cauliflower and all these things that would make me feel sick to my stomach. I could actually eat it, and I could actually feel energy from it. Within 3 months, all of my health issues that I ever experienced, even from the point I was 13, went away. I had no more symptoms of anemia, no more symptoms of hypoglycemia, no more symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome, digestive issues. I could eat for the first time in years, whatever I wanted, really. It was freeing. It was really amazing. And I still kept passing parasites 3 months after. And before I even finished my detox, I fell pregnant. And now we have our beautiful baby boy, Asher. The first word I can think of is freedom. There was no more clutter at all anymore. I had just this fluid ability to just move and be free and live life. I had hope that I could live life to the fullest. I wasn't perfect. I still had the scars, mentally, my mindset, and I'm still growing to this day. But I didn't have those things holding me back and sabotaging me. And I feel this strength, this mental strength. I felt like I could actually build up my life and just grow like I was supposed to. I just felt like free, like I could conquer the world, and it didn't matter what anybody said. I have way more energy. I remember thinking at night, I'm like, whoa, I'm still going. Versus, man, I just did the dishes and I feel like I'm going to sleep for the rest of the day, you know? Yeah, I feel happier. I can, you know, I can adapt to things, stay calmer. Yeah, I can adapt to life and do a lot more things than I could before. Jonathan, I would say, was always the innovative thinker for health solutions in my life. His support for all this has been incredible. He always supported me, he always encouraged me, and yeah. And so here I am today because of it. That beautiful boy he's the symbol of a new beginning. Not only that, just knowing that I gave him the most awesome beginning. I can feel good that I gave him a good start to life. You know, I detox my body. It's healthier. I feel like I have the ability to be a mother to him. You know, I'm still learning and I make mistakes and things like that, but I feel like I can be a good mother to him. And we have fun together. And yeah, I don't know, he's awesome. I mean, he's just awesome. It's just, he is just a symbol of hope. He's a symbol of just a new beginning and just being able to give him the best me that I can give him. It's just a really great feeling. As I was recovering and trying new things, I was just so hyped up. We were so hyped up from seeing the results and stuff. And then my dad's health declining even more. It got to the point where he was down to 8% with his kidney function. And we're looking at dialysis. And my dad wanted to avoid that. He was very resistant at first, like I was, but he was eventually open to listening. Long story short, he started applying protocols, and up until this point in time, he has not received dialysis. He's not showing symptoms of needing dialysis. He is increasing day by day his kidney function. And not only that, it's transformed him and my mom. They look completely different. They've lost so much weight in a good way. My mom, she just literally for the first time in so many years is actually at a healthy weight. It's just been a literal miracle of the possibilities, and it was all due to the network that Jonathan has been able to build as an investigative journalist and the work that he and I do. My husband's name means what he's been to my life and the lives of my family. Just a different thinker. And being able to bring that and bring literally life back, or for the first time in our family and even in my own life. My mom's been able to just do things that she never thought possible. She's helping and giving impact and just pushing her boundaries of abilities. My dad, I'm so proud of him. I'm just pushing the boundaries of him. He could have just said no. He could have said no, but he didn't. He's been working harder than all of us, following the protocols as diligently as best as he possibly can and finding results because of it. He's been able to do things that we could never have imagined. And it's all because Jonathan was willing to be used by God to come and shake us up when we didn't even want to be shaken. And I'm thankful and I'm so grateful for that gift that God has placed in my life and the lives of my mom and my dad and my brother and it's my family, his family. Never could have imagined that happening.
Hey, Lori and Jonathan here with some good news. As you've seen in our episode, doing a parasite cleanse is a huge step that can help your healing. Unfortunately, it's a step that many people are skipping in their healing journey. When you cleanse the body from these parasites, you not only get the benefit of not being riddled with parasites anymore, your body also gets all that extra energy that was invested in detox, which can give you a great energy boost. Once you detox from parasites, you won't be feeding organisms that severely impact your health, and your body won't need to constantly fight against these pathogens. We believe so much in the power of parasite cleansing that we have actually created our own custom formula for parasite detox called ParaPurify. This same formula has helped me, my whole family, and Jonathan detox as well. This unique parasite detox formula is developed from Well of Life by our well-qualified experts who have researched and utilized these herbal combinations with great success. ParaPurify includes 2 key ingredients in combating parasites: Mimosa pudica and green harvested black walnut hulls.
While several parasite protocols include black walnut, Mimosa pudica has the unique ability to break down the biofilm that parasites use to protect themselves from being eliminated. Mimosa pudica is known to paralyze parasites and rid the human body of them. 2 studies, one in 2012 and one published in the International Journal of Biochemical and Pharmaceutical Sciences in 2018, found Mimosa pudica extracts paralyzed and killed worms as effectively as common antiparasitic medicine. Black walnut is a well-recognized anti-parasitic remedy, especially in Europe and the Middle East. It's been used in ridding the body of parasites since archaic Greek and Roman times. This medicinal compound contains the phytochemical juglone, a powerful antiparasitic compound which kills unwanted parasites and expels them from your system. Remember, 70% of all parasites are not visible to the naked eye. Many people are unaware that they're carrying around these toxic invaders that may be doing untold damage to your body. If you want to give ParaPurify a try, you'll be headed down a path to health and freedom from these plaguing pests you may not even know that you have. Well of Life's ParaPurify is available online for you to use and try out for yourself. I love reflecting on the story of my wife because it just brings up so much emotion for me. Seeing the joy in her life today is remarkable, and this is the joy that I want you to experience. Now, ParaPurify is a profound, helpful, transformative product, and it's so helpful to remove harmful parasites. However, it's not the complete story. What we've found is that toxic metals and other toxic substances are in the body. They needed to be bound up and taken out. That's why we use a formula process called ToxiBinder. We then need to repair the gut lining with Gut Repair 360, and this is how we use L-glutamine, aloe vera, and many other ingredients that help the gut lining specifically. And then we're also repairing gut lining and bringing minerals in, toxins out with liquid fulvic minerals, which is cell defense. We're combating inflammation with turmeric, with the turmeric, ginger, and bioperine. And finally, we're boosting the immune system with emergency immune system support with vitamin C, elderberry, and other ingredients. So what's so amazing about this is that it helps people to transform their lives. I get so passionate about this is because this is the formula and process I put my father on, my grandmother, who recently had a huge health scare at age 94, who's getting off almost every single one of her medications, even at that age. So just think about how profound that is. And Lori's mother and father, who I adore, and Lori obviously adores with all her heart, the health transformations they've experienced using these products, and then the people that have come into our community, like Natalia, Gail, and Diana. Remarkable people that use the Well of Life products to help their bodies transform. But they didn't just do one or two things, they understood the process and the system. And that's what we're offering you as a free gift when you choose to own the series of Natural Medicine Secrets today. You will get all of these products. And remember, this is a limited time offer and it's based on the inventory, the stock that we have. And if you're hearing this right now, I want you to take advantage of this amazing gift. Go ahead and place your order today and we'll immediately ship you this life-changing supplement protocol.
I was thinking, I feel so strong. Like I've got strength in my hands, my legs.
Glad that on your product, because I just without this, I would be in wheelchair. Before I was practically suicide. So thank you. I just have not enough words to tell the sentence.
I was so miserable and now I'm just so much better. I have fibromyalgia, Sjogren's, chronic fatigue, Hashimoto's, and then like I say, this bad brain, gone.
Do you think everybody's aware of what the role of hormones in our body is?
No, it is the most underestimated study of any person. And it's interesting because my patients come to me and they go, oh my gosh, the difference in how I feel is dramatically different. And so the reason why I love hormones is I was born in the 50s and I was number 3 of 6 children. And my mother started bleeding when she was pregnant with me. And they said, oh, well, we have to give you some medication to prevent this bleeding and prevent you losing the baby. So my mother took a drug called DES, diethylstilbestrol. It was a very potent estrogen. And so as a result of that, I had every hormonal problem that you could possibly imagine because I never had 2 periods in a row in my life. So I was forced to learn, regardless of medical school or not, I was forced to learn about hormones.
That's a majority of the people that I work with is women's health at every age and decade. Because honestly, when I see them come to me in perimenopause, their issues really, if you get a good history, possibly started around puberty. So it takes doing the right testing, but that's a majority of my practice. That's how I found, that's how thyroid found me, because I found there were so many people out there, so many practitioners out there that actually knew so little about the thyroid. I just sat and studied it for years and years and years. And then I started studying the autoimmune connection and Hashimoto's. And you have to realize that's all related to hormone health. So that is a majority of what I do.
And then, because you've said that now.
And who I serve, yeah.
And say how you serve. And now you've said that prevalence. Are women being affected more than men with certain conditions?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Because for the thyroid, for example, our thyroid's sensitive to certain hormones, right? Our thyroid is sensitive to influxes with progesterone and estrogen. So sometimes Those hormones block our thyroid receptor sites. Another reason is women are caregivers, right? So we're very prone to take care of everybody around us, let our problems continue to deteriorate, and then they're bad enough when we choose to take care of ourselves. That's another reason.
Endometriosis and menopause, anything to share on those two?
Yeah, I would like to mention menopause first.
Yeah.
So endometriosis is an issue. Menopause is not. Menopause is a natural physiologic response. So as women, our uterus and ovaries have one purpose: bearing children. That is not a lifetime process. It doesn't turn on until we go through puberty, and it is meant to turn off when we go through menopause. Do you realize that some languages in the world do not even have a word for hot flash? It's not in their vocabulary because they realize that going through puberty, having a period, being pregnant, and then going through menopause, that's natural physiology. So it's not a problem or an ailment. Endometriosis is different. Endometriosis does need to be looked at closely because oftentimes it's due to an estrogen dominance, which can then lead to a hormone-positive cancer. So that's one you definitely want to approach a little bit more aggressively. With endometriosis and fibroids, generally what you are approaching with someone with is they have estrogen dominance. So it means either their progesterone levels are too low, or they're not detoxifying estrogen properly. You have to get that person detoxifying estrogen properly because they can have a hysterectomy, but they can still develop a hormone-positive cancer later in life because you didn't deal with the estrogen dominance, which is really at the root cause of those two.
I gave the example of my wife, but my wife was not an overweight PCOS patient. She was a normal weight PCOS patient, but most people with polycystic ovary syndrome are overweight. And it goes away with weight loss because it's one of the factors from angiogenesis and IGF-1 promotion. In other words, the body weight and the poor diet leads to hormones that favor the growth of cysts in the ovaries and upset your estrogen balance that make you infertile. So all these things happen together. When a person floods their body with high nutrient food and they moderately caloric restrict, then their insulin resistance and the hormonal imbalance from PCOS fixes itself, and the person can become healthy again, they can get rid of it, and they can become fertile just like my wife. So yes, it's something that we effectively treat. So I just want to state that right off the bat. It's very, very important that women to know. Polycystic ovary disease goes away on a nutritarian diet. Almost all chronic disease has a similar foundation of high reactive oxygen species, ROS, and high deposition of advanced glycation end products that are toxic to the ovaries, are toxic to all the cells in our bodies, and make you more diabetic prone. And women in particular, because they naturally have more body fat than men do, right? So a man could be muscular, BMI could be 24, 23, not too bad, but you have a woman whose BMI is 23 or 24, and her percent of body fat is going to go over 30%. Her body fat. So what I'm saying right now is that fat cells produce estrogen. Fat cells are lipotoxic. Extra fat, there's no such thing as a healthy overweight person. Fat cells make you unhealthy. They produce toxic substances, including estrogen and angiogenesis promoters. And angiogenesis means they promote cells to replicate. They secure their own development. And angiogenesis allows blood vessels to grow and feed the fat with more oxygen and more nutrients. But a lot of natural plant foods like mushrooms and onions and greens and berries are anti-angiogenic. They're anti-fat storage effects, and they're anti-estrogenic. Like pomegranates and mushrooms have aromatase inhibitors in them. They're natural aromatase inhibitors, means they prevent excess breast stimulation, and they prevent the fat cells from producing too much estrogen. What I'm saying right now is your diet controls your hormones, and these hormones control your health. They upset your adrenal gland, your adrenal axis, your estrogen-progesterone ratios, your estrogen-testosterone ratios, how much estrogen stimulation you get in body tissue, how much reproduction and growth that's going on, including promotion of tumors and cysts on your ovaries. All these things are affected by what you put in your mouth.
Other common problems in women, weight. The whole country's going to collapse the planet. And women are not isolated from stress and poor sleep and snacking and calorie-dense foods rather than nutrition-dense foods. So you got to educate them about that. I often bring in the power of fasting as a tool to optimize weight So they're usually concerned about that. Thyroid disease, hypothyroid, autoimmune thyroid disease called Hashimoto's, very common, maybe getting more common because of the way food is produced and perhaps overlap with increasing pesticides and environmental toxins like glyphosate, Roundup, and gut issues too. Gut issues. There's a real concern, and I'm not an alarmist, but a real concern that the widespread exposure we all have to Roundup, to glyphosate, to pesticides. There's a new one called Liberty Link that Bayer Monsanto has out, are really destroying the bacteria in our gut, our microbiome, causing us to have something called leaky gut, causing us to have inflammation, brain fog, and other manifestations of poor health. And it just tracks back to the quality of food we're putting in our body. And women are suffering from it, without a doubt. So Hashimoto's thyroiditis is a form of thyroid disease, a distinct form. There's overactive thyroid called hyperthyroidism. There's underactive thyroid called hypothyroidism. Usually Hashimoto's is the underactive hypo, but it's actually destruction of thyroid tissue due to antibodies against the thyroid, so it's an autoimmune disease. We shouldn't be destroying our own tissues. There can be a phase in Hashimoto's where it is overactive for a while because as it's being destroyed, some of the thyroid hormone gets released in the blood, so women may have hot spells and racing heartbeats and some weight loss and some fatigue. Of course, some of that may overlap with symptoms of menopause if you don't think about thyroid disease. But more commonly it ends up with hypothyroidism, challenges with gaining weight, feeling cold, dry skin, brittle hair, feeling depressed, slow heart rates, constipation. Not a good thing, and that can be confused with a whole lot of other things like stress, anxiety, depression.
Something that science is beginning to find correlated with the thyroid is the genetic mutation called MTHFR. Essentially, MTHFR is a gene that allows your body to absorb folic acid and B vitamins, especially B9. It also plays an essential role in converting homocysteine into methionine, which serves many functions, such as establishing proper metabolism, muscle growth, and creating glutathione. This mutation causes issues with the body's ability to eliminate toxins. Over time, this disrupts the hormones and it can negatively affect the thyroid and lead to illnesses such as Hashimoto's. If you have the MTHFR mutation, which is very common, and what kind of percentage you see it in the public?
Right. I've seen different data, but I'm going to just say 60% is the average of different studies that I've seen.
Got it.
I've seen some studies say as low as 40%, and I've seen some as high as 70%. So I'm going to say about 60%. It is very common. And it's a mutation that's been around for a long time. But the issue is we started introducing synthetic nutrients. That's where we got into trouble with MTHFR.
Makes sense, because I'm somebody that believes that generally, because of what we understand about epigenetics, whatever problem that we have genetically, it's the fact that we've turned it on.
Yes, and we turned it on with synthetic nutrients. And when a woman is trying to get pregnant, most of them are given folic acid, prescription folic acid, which is a synthetic nutrient which can make homocysteine levels rise, can make inflammation worse, and can make MTHFR worse.
Okay. And so then what's the way to reverse this problem?
So what you would do is you would monitor somebody's homocysteine levels, but you would give that person enough methylfolate to help their body methylate properly. And then that's ultimately going to reduce the likelihood, if you do become pregnant, of your baby having a neural tube defect, like spina bifida, cleft palate, things of that nature, or even miscarriage.
Yes, got it. And hopefully if the MTHFR gene or their issue with that problem was causing the infertility, if somebody did what you're talking about, could it resolve the infertility?
Absolutely.
They could fall pregnant?
Yes.
So I was like, okay. So I started taking the thyroid drug because I wanted to follow and be compliant and go along with that. So that's what I did. And as time would go on, you go through more colleges and have different life stresses. As it would go, my thyroid would keep getting worse and worse and worse, and the levels of medication kept skyrocketing and going up, to the point that eventually my husband, I finally had up it for the last time, and my husband's like, "Well, what are you going to do when they run out of meds to give you? You know, what are they going to do when they don't have a stronger prescription to give you?" And I'm like, "Well, then I have to quit my stresses." I'm like, And so eventually I started feeling like that I was just working to die because I wasn't feeling good and my health was going down the tubes. To the point where it got to be where I was with my staff and I told my staff, I'm like, this is how you sell the practice when I die. Because I did not feel well. I was very sick and I had already by then developed a second autoimmune disease.
Now, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is very different because Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune disease, but like you said earlier, it's not an autoimmune disease due to T suppressor cell malfunction. It's a different type of autoimmune disease where you have destruction of the cells in the thyroid gland that are very fragile and very sensitive to man-made chemicals and exposure, dioxin, PCBs, endocrine disruptors, parabens. We have people getting exposed to these environmental toxins, and the woman's thyroid gland is very sensitive to those toxins. And once it's been destroyed for many years, it doesn't come back again. And even the right diet. I've had cases of hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism has made a full recovery. And I've had cases of hypothyroidism newly diagnosed when they were young make full recoveries.
You have to do blood work. You can suspect it and pretty much nail the diagnosis with a good physical exam and vital signs. But you have to do blood work for thyroid function and thyroid antibodies. Again, shouldn't have in your blood. Antibodies to your own thyroid. They're very available. They're very easy to do, thyroid antibodies. And you can make a diagnosis. And then the question is, what do you do from there? And it always goes back to Hippocrates, the source of all diseases in our gut. And we believe a lot of these antibodies, at least in the natural world, the functional medicine world, come from leaky gut, altered gut integrity, from fast food and excess sugar and excess alcohol and antibiotics, but environmental toxins, pesticides, Roundup, glyphosate, and such. So,
and it was I was living in constant pain, constant sickness, just the fatigue, the constant stomach pain, never a break from it. And to the point where I was just miserable and in and out of the ER and just doing different things. So, and I had at one point, tested with my IgG and I pulled out certain foods and, I'd feel a little better, but then I'd put it back in and I'd get sick again. So I kept taking more thyroid medication and they'd give you antibiotics for everything else. And eventually I was just like, okay, something has to give or I'm going to die and I can't do that. I have a 9-year-old child and I can't risk that. So I started doing some research and figuring some things out. And I started changing my diet, changing what I was doing. At first had to cut out the stresses, so I completely changed my work lifestyle. Everything had to get changed. And then I started changing the diet and everything. And literally now it's a year later and 100% different. I am not that same person.
Although the MTHFR gene mutation may not be an issue for you, other factors can lead to hormone imbalances. When women's hormones are thrown off, they can develop multiple reproductive issues ranging from things like polycystic ovarian syndrome, to cysts, to fibroids, to endometriosis, to infertility. Understanding that hormone disruption and toxic overload are some of the key components in throwing off the body's balance, it stands to reason that having a healthy detox can be incredibly beneficial in rebalancing the hormones and trying to get your body back on track.
People want to, I will tell you, usually getting guys to come in here used to be a problem, but now that's all changed. Men are willing to be patients and discover what's going on. But let's face it, guys are basically Hercules, and they don't really think anything's wrong with them. But that's all changed. The main difference between a man and a woman, as far as their blood work goes, the blood work is very similarly done. A comprehensive blood work testing, nutritional testing, but hormone levels. So people need to know hormones are the natural drugs to your body. They're molecular messengers that turn your cells on and off as the body needs it. And men have much higher testosterone levels than women, and women have higher estrogen levels than men. That's really the basic difference. The other hormones, thyroid hormones, adrenal hormones, blood sugar hormones, are basically all the same. The main difference is the testosterone levels. And we're in a very serious time because a lot of young men, when I say young men between 20 and 30 and 35, have very low testosterone levels. And so that's why all doctors need to be looking at the hormones of everyone today, because Rachel Carson wrote a book called Silent Spring in the 60s. And her book revealed that in nature, we were seeing sexual changes in nature. And so we talked about these chemicals changing the manifestation of that creature. Well, we didn't listen, and now we are dealing with the ramifications of low hormone levels in men and hormonal changes in women and the outrageous increase in infertility levels.
And to start out with, I have to say that when I first met the woman that eventually became my wife, when she was younger, she had polycystic ovary syndrome and was told that she'd never have children, that her hormones were all messed up, and that it was a genetic issue and there's nothing she could do about it. And she also had frequent urinary tract infections, by the way, as well. She met me, and before we got married, she was very open and interested in nutrition, and it made a lot of good logical sense to her. And she started eating healthier even when we were dating, and even before we even got married. And she never had another urinary tract infection. After having recurrent urinary tract infections, never had another one. And since we've been married, she's never had one. Plus the fact that her polycystic ovary syndrome went away relatively quickly, and we had 4 healthy children that are now adults that she never had a problem getting pregnant either. She's told she couldn't get pregnant, and she had irregular. So, I have had so many women who were unable to get pregnant have their fertility get back and able to get pregnant. It's just a common thing I see every day. I was once giving a lecture in Tampa to an auditorium full of physicians, about 500 physicians, and one guy comes running up the center aisle, pulling this attractive woman with him, and he's yelling at me, "You got my wife pregnant!" So looking at this guy yelling, "You got my wife pregnant," and he turns around and says to everybody, "We've tried to have a baby for 5 years. We've been married, couldn't have a baby. I read Dr. Fuhrman's book. We both started together, and within a certain amount of time, I don't remember what it was, she was able to get fertile and pregnant." And of course, some infertility doctors right there in the audience said, "Yes, we do the same thing. We use Dr. Fuhrman's books for our people who are that we find when they start eating all the healthy diet, they're able to become more fertile and get pregnant."
Infertility levels, the ability to get pregnant and the ability for a male to have great sperm has dramatically decreased in the last, I would say, it's decreased 50% in the last 20 years.
And what does that do to?
I think it's due to all the chemical influence that we have in our system. The number top chemicals that we have are xenoestrogens. Xeno is the Greek word for foreign. And we have a lot of foreign estrogens in the environment. And the biggest one is plastics. And plastics, as you probably know, are not biodegradable. And I've been telling patients to get off plastics for over 17 years when everybody thought I was crazy. And I'm not crazy because now they teach it in the schools and they tell you, no, we shouldn't be using plastic water bottles. We should be using glass water bottles. Or they have now the bottles that are supposedly not supposed to diffuse, but they're still not good. So you need to stick to glass or stainless steel. So, but these chemicals they're hormone disruptors. What does that mean? They're disrupting the normal hormonal functions that we're supposed to have in our system. And since hormones, like I said, are the natural drugs in your body, this is a very crucial dilemma.
Your vital organs are always on, aren't they? Doing what they were designed to do 24/7 to keep you alive. Your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys and liver all continuing to work for you long after you've turned in and gone to sleep. This work takes fuel, which we draw from our food. If there's one thing all doctors and experts can agree on, it's that putting good food into our bodies is essential to good health. Harmful chemicals and pesticides, artery clogging fats, and high processed sugars hidden in the synthetically tasty quick grab packages in the impulse buy aisles contribute to pain and inflammation and make us sick. Our bodies simply cannot keep up trying to make sense of these foreign foods and dispose of these harmful agents, which end up either causing autoimmune responses or slowing down or even eventually shutting down our systems themselves. It's truly easier to prevent disease than to have to go through an arduous healing process. We want to show you that there's even more you can do to make your food choices even healthier, resulting in feeling great, sleeping soundly, thinking sharper, and keeping your energy levels up. By incorporating nutrient-dense foods into your diet through eating organic and non-GMO, you will begin to reap the benefits. That is, higher energy levels, elevated and stable moods, a healthy gut, and clearer thinking from low inflammation and optimal blood. One easy way to start off is to consider the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. The Environmental Working Group started a tradition in 2004, releasing and updating every year a guide to pesticides in fresh produce so that even when not buying fully organic, people can still make educated decisions on the best foods for themselves and their families. From these next interviews, I hope you'll be able to take away a world of information, as Lori and I did, that will stay with you for life. Learning which foods have been known to act as triggers and make our bodies more prone to illness by tampering with hormone levels, immune systems, and overworking our systems versus foods that truly nourish us, feed our cells, clean and detoxify our digestive system, and arm us with the energy and strength we need to conquer the day and fight off unwanted invaders.
So I
What
did
was
that.
causing the fire?
Eating a lot of dairy, eggs, gluten, coffee. I don't really drink alcohol, but alcohol is one of the things. Taking out processed foods, taking out any kind of sugars and fake sugars, nightshade plants, corn, all of that kind of stuff. So eating a very clean, whole diet.
So you were literally putting wood on the inflammation, on the fire that was within your body. And I mean, we just have words to illustrate what's happening. Inflammation is a word that's used to describe what's happening in the body, which is obviously not a literal fire. It's a fire of the body, which is everything from scarring of the tissue to toxic overload to indigestible proteins or things that permeate the cell, the walls of the colon. So it's interesting, like to define things. I love words and I love working out meanings. Like chelation to detox heavy metals comes from the Greek to claw, and it's to pull and extract. And so we want to do all the right things. You mentioned about putting gas on the fire. So you took the gas off the fire, you took the wood off the fire, but then what else did you do to get better?
So took the wood out. I started eating like the whole good foods. So eating the healthy foods and pre-cooking my food, like getting it prepped and ready. So I had it throughout the week so I didn't have to stress about it when I came home. So I had it pre-done.
What was that food?
A lot of like sweet potatoes, rosemary, garlic, thyme, sage, using spices and herbs to help heal, bringing in a lot of like the spinach and the sweet potatoes, like I mentioned, carrots and turnips and parsnips, and just bringing in a whole different variety like kale, and just opening up your mind to all the different vegetables that are out there. And there's so many, and learning to cook and experiment with all these different flavors, and then creating a lot of different foods. And even my husband would make a comment, he's like, this stuff tastes really good.
Really? Wow. So you didn't feel restricted?
No, I know.
You felt, it sounds like the reverse happened for you.
Yeah, I was able to find a lot of yummy foods.
Yeah, it seems to expand your palate because your body needed extra things to fuel the microbiome. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so you, a lot of people are very narrow in their eating because it's just quite very standard, and we're used to it. Like iceberg lettuce is so common, it has no nutritional value, and we're used to certain colors, just red of the tomato. But there's a lot of different shades of red. There's lots of different. But you obviously took out tomatoes probably because of the lectin content.
Right.
Okay, got it. And then, but then the majority of all plants you can eat. All right. I think there's only a few that you can't eat, which is just the nightshades.
Yep.
Anything else particularly?
No green beans.
Got it. But you could do other legumes?
No.
Or not? You just took them all out?
For autoimmune, you have to.
What about now, though? Because for me, have you tried again, or?
I have, and I still get sick.
Got it.
And there's things that, even like when I took my IgG test only came up with dairy and eggs is the main thing.
Yeah.
But even now, there's still things I play around with that I think are still on the good list, but there's something still that can irritate my system too. So I'm still working on that progress of, always trying to figure out what it is and making sure. But guess what? Accidentally, every now and then you get something in your body.
Got it.
And you can get it in once here and there, and it doesn't usually upset me so much. But if I accidentally screw up a couple times in a row,
yeah,
it doesn't like it.
Got it.
It will get really, really irritated. And
besides diet, another trigger to hormone-related issues is parasites living in your gut. Millions of people live with parasites and don't even know it. Parasites can live in your intestines for a number of years before causing any symptoms. Not only that, but when you do present symptoms such as digestive issues, fatigue, sleep issues, muscle cramps, poor concentration, rashes, and headaches, the symptoms are so common that they're often mistakenly brushed off as something else. Furthermore, testing for parasites is not often conclusive. Once you contract them, they feed on you, cells, blood, energy, and all, stealing the nutrients you eat before you even get to them. To make things worse, parasites, like all living organisms, excrete waste after they feed, as well as toxins from their decomposition when they die. All this goes into your bloodstream. You can contract these undesirable passengers in many ways, including contact with an infected person, contaminated and undercooked food, and from improperly handling pet fecal matter. Over time, having a parasite can lead to a deficiency in nutrients, chronic digestive issues, skin conditions, inflammation, hormone imbalances, and more. Research studies have concluded that women infected with asymptomatic latent parasites take longer to conceive and have reported more difficulties with fertility. So, what can one do with these creepy critters that have chosen us as a host? The good news is that functional medicine practitioners have seen amazing results in herbal remedies, such as green harvested black walnut hulls, mimosa pudica seed, and fulvic acid for parasitic removal and detoxification and gut cleansing. With parasite infestations eliminated from the system, the body can begin to balance the hormones, heal the GI tract, reduce inflammation, and even restore lost cognition. Have you done any parasite cleanse yet?
I have not done that yet. Actually, I'm going to be working on some of that. I want to get the stool test first done to see what I have. Because when I did my first one, I didn't do it with it in it. So that is definitely on. It's actually ordered right now. So I'll be doing it this next week.
I'm looking forward to hearing how you go with that, because I do think that it might open up your ability to eat more things.
I agree.
Cool, and that's going to be exciting. And my personal take on it is, if you did get a report that said you had no parasites, I would treat it as if it said you had parasites, because the cyclical nature of parasites, you're not always going to catch the eggs. You're not always going to. They're not even testing for a lot of the different parasites. There's a lot of different parasites. They're not looking for certain ones.
Right, and you have to break down their film too.
Yeah.
Because their films are so then once you start to break that down by taking some of the different products, then they'll start to break down. Then you'll see them in your stool and stuff. But in the beginning, you might not.
And then ovarian cysts, have you seen them go away?
Absolutely.
Really?
So a big factor in ovarian cysts is low progesterone. So if you conventionally find out you have an ovarian cyst, what are you given? You're given birth control. What is birth control? Synthetic progesterone. You can achieve that same result with natural progesterone as well.
How do you get that?
How do you get natural progesterone? Yeah. It's available over the counter in low enough doses. You can get natural supplements that are pregnenolone in low doses, and pregnenolone's a precursor to progesterone. So there's cream options and there's supplement options as well.
Can it be used, and does that work even if it's considered to be genetic?
So what would cause a genetic cyst is what I would wonder. That's where I would like to see some. Just because it runs in families doesn't make it genetic.
What do you think? So when that comes to epigenetics, are you of the mindset that something has been done or not done that has turned it on, and it could be turned off?
Right. So your genes are not your destiny, right? 90% of people right now who get cancer aren't carrying genes for cancer, right? So it's not doom and gloom if you have issues with your genes. Epigenetics, how we turn genes on and off, is far more intriguing and far more advanced form of healthcare to approach helping your patients get well.
And would you say that that concept that you just mentioned there is mainstream science?
No, no, absolutely not. So we just finished the Human Genome Project in 2010, realized, so this is roughly 8 years ago. So in 8 years, you would think more people have been educated on this, but a lot of what we get in healthcare, a lot of our education comes from self-education, which means I get to study what I'm most interested in. And I've dedicated 15 years plus before I was even in practice to studying that which I'm most passionate about, which is epigenetics, functional medicine, nutrition, Chinese medicine. But if that's not something you're passionate about, you're not going to have any education in that because you didn't pursue achieving that.
Then I started diving into a lot more and doing a lot more research. And, as you do that, how the path opens up for you. So I started learning a lot more in that regards to autoimmune diseases. And I didn't know they were reversible until probably February, March, when I started figuring it out, doing more research into it and figuring out the foods and finding out, guess what, it is reversible. And when you get out there, the other thing is when you're in autoimmune disease, there's not much information out there. I had a hard time. They'll find it like specific diseases, like there's Hashimoto's or there's stuff specifically on specific ones, but not the whole thing and not the diet and not the education of that it is reversible. Whereas, and that's the thing is it is. And people don't know that. They just think that they have to live with the drugs and they have to live the way they are. And they don't.
I put these people on a whole food plant-based diet. I put them on a organic diet. I eliminate excess sugar, alcohol. There's a thread of data and only a thread of data that for a period of time, a gluten-free diet might be a good choice till they sort of heal their gut. So I'm not a fan of gluten-free diets for everybody, but in Hashimoto's, I will often recommend that for a period of time. And you can see their antibodies come down and their thyroid disease stabilize. There are a few other tricks to kind of improve the health of the GI tract and try and manage it. Whereas typically a woman will just get a prescription for thyroid replacement, which can alleviate a lot of the symptoms, but it's not actually addressing the root cause of Hashimoto's. It's the gut baby almost every time.
The focus, the memory, my skin is coming back. I actually have like a glow to skin. My hair is actually getting healthy again. My nails are getting healthier. I've lost like 20 pounds. I just feel so much better. I'm not living in constant stomach pain. I can live and I can breathe again. And it's been huge. I can't imagine if there's other people I know that are out there that have probably felt like where I was at. And I don't want them to have to. There's something you can do. You can reverse it. And the process, starting this past August, so just a few months ago, they started taking me down on my medications. I've actually gone down 50 milligrams already in about 2 months from where I was at. So I'm like, they kind of looked at me and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I changed my diet and changed my entire lifestyle. And I'm creating a whole different kind of system and program and just like really paying attention to my life. And they're like, okay, this like kind of stumped, they're like, well, they're medical doctors. They're like, well, we should be always giving you more drugs kind of thing. And I'm like, no. And so as a result of that, patients have kind of noticed, and I just started creating and putting things together and using myself as my own test guinea pig first, right?
Yeah, when we're dealing with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, we're talking about the health of the gut. You have to end up ultimately talking about adequate and efficient digestion of food. This is all part of being mindful that it's one thing to pick gorgeous, beautiful, organic foods to power your body, but then you have a system where as soon as you eat foods that contain carbohydrate, basically all foods have some carbohydrate, you got to release enzymes. Your pancreas is going to detect within your intestines and release enzymes called amylase to help digest that complex carbohydrate down to simple sugars to absorb and fuel your body. It's a great process. If you're eating foods that have fat in them, almost all foods have some fat. Even a white potato might be 10% fat. You're going to need lipases, enzymes that break it down. And finally, when you get to protein, there is proteases, enzymes. And all these have to be released in the digestive juices and the bile and by the pancreas. And again, it's a process none of us really usually think about unless you have a digestive disease. But we know that this can be interrupted and not be as smooth as necessary, whether it's previous antibiotic use, whether it's pesticides, whether it's exposure to Roundup, glyphosate, whether it's taking medicine for heartburn issues like the very common proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers you can buy in drugstores over the counter. All these processes can be interrupted, and age itself, we may not make digestive enzymes as efficiently. So one way on the path of restoring digestive health, which is basically total body health, is to augment digestive enzymes. And you can eat foods that have digestive enzymes in them, or you can take them as supplements. And they will be, again, enzymes that break down fat, lipases, enzymes that break down complex carbohydrates, amylases, enzymes that break down proteins, proteases. Then on the field of enzymes, as you keep going, there's some very, very cool enzymes from the natural world that do overlap with what I do in my cardiology clinic.
Bacopa is real interesting in that Bacopa is very helpful for both the nervous system and brain health, but also for thyroid function. Okay, and the thyroid function drops, every function in the body drops. So let's say the thyroid drops in 10% in its function, all right? That means your brain drops 10% in function. Your heart drops 10% in function. Your muscles, your liver, your kidneys, your intestines. You're going to lose 10% of the function of everything else in your body, okay? So anything that supports the thyroid is usually beneficial.
I think magnesium is a very important mineral that many people are deficient in, and it can lead to a lot of those PMS, bloating, weepy, cramping type symptoms. They seem so hard to resolve conventionally, right? But when you look at these things functionally, they're not that hard to approach. So one that you mentioned was PCOS. With PCOS, it's very important that you look at blood sugar, cortisol levels, progesterone, and testosterone. Because with PCOS, you've got sugar mixing with testosterone. That doesn't necessarily mean the testosterone is high. It just could mean that the progesterone levels are too low. So conventionally, how PCOS is treated is a drug called metformin, which is used for diabetes and birth control. Well, if you're trying to do things naturally, that's not really the approach you want, but you can certainly naturally improve blood sugar and progesterone levels.
So now I'm starting to put that program together. So now I'm starting to take on patients and helping them put their body through it. So I'm first working on getting tests and running tests. So you're not guessing, you're going to test and find out what's going on in your body. What do we need? How do we need to help? But you also have to look at their whole picture. So you've got to look at everything that's going on in their life and help them figure out how they need to heal. Because not everybody's the same. Everybody's unique, and you have to treat them as a unique person. One is you got to take a step back and look at your life. You know, if you were talking to your best friend and they were having that conversation with you, what would you give them for advice?
Yeah.
And then learn to apply that in your life. So, you know, you have to take a look at first, you know, the stress. What's some of the stressors that are going on? Is there something you can do to control the stress? Is there something you can shift or change? And even learning the aspects of just doing meditation. Or just learning to breathe, is learning to stop and pause for a second, learning to restructure how your morning begins, your evening begins or ends. So things that you can start there, learning to focus on even like making sure you get your sleep at night. It's a consistent time that you go to bed and a consistent time you wake up, just get your body into some consistency. And then sometimes the biggest thing is, what's your most favorite food that you couldn't live without? That's the one you get rid of first. As much as it will suck, but you know, that's probably going to be one of the most. Usually the food that you love the most is generally going to be the food that causes you the most problems. Your body will make you crave that, or whatever organisms are going on, they help you crave that.
Like parasites.
You got it. So generally that's the one food group you have to take out. So usually when I've talked with patients, it can be anything from coffee to dairy or cheese or breads or, you know, chocolate. And, you know, even though chocolate isn't necessarily a no-no, but guess what it's got in it? Milk and other processed stuff, you know, and so you want to take that stuff out of your diet and just take even 7 days and just be like, okay, so how do you feel after 7 days taking it out? Maybe the first couple you're gonna be a bear because you want your fix.
Yeah.
But you gotta let it go and just get through it.
As we've discussed, the role of our endocrine system is to produce hormones that control much of the bodily functions. They define the way our heart beats, how our bones and bodies grow, how we metabolize sugar, change calories into energy, and our ability to have children. When the endocrine system is producing too little or too much, it can cause an array of discomfort and malaise, and unfortunately can lead to infertility and some very serious illnesses as well. Hormone disorders may be caused from smoking, excessive alcohol or illicit drug use, a poor diet, extreme weight loss or gain, exposure to chemicals, heavy metals and pesticides, high physical or emotional stress or trauma, environmental toxins including parasites and lead, as well as parasites and prescription medication. As Dr. Olivia Joseph stated, if you get a good history on somebody, you'll see these hormone imbalances have been there for decades. In this episode, we've shared what we ourselves have learned and put into practice to reverse the conditions created by these decades of hormonal abnormalities. We want to leave you today with the message that there is hope. It is possible to naturally regulate hormone imbalances and heal from hormone-related illnesses. We wish you great health and joy. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode and quickly put everything that you've learned today to good use. Or even share this with others who need this vital information about natural medicines. Remember, right now you can save up to 93% for instant on-demand access to our silver gold packages.
But this massive discount won't last forever. This offer is only available during this premiere screening. So act now to take advantage of the dozens of hours of information on video, audio, and in PDF format that accompany each package. Plus, you get lifetime access and over $2,778 in free bonuses.
You'll also get books, DVDs sent out to you in the mail with the package so you can read along and learn from all these amazing resources at your own pace, at your fingertips. With the information gathered directly from 57 of the world's best doctors, scientists, and researchers, all having expertise in both traditional medicine and alternative medicine, Natural Medicine Secrets is one of the most complete resources for anyone looking to heal their body with natural medicine instead of drugs. To see for yourself all that you'll receive in our silver, gold, and packages, as well as the huge 93% discount available just for a limited time, click the link below now. See you in the next episode, and thanks so much for joining us.